I wasn't expecting Caitlin Clark to be coming back this early, but ESPN put out an article earlier this week kind of summing up. They was predicting Caitlin Clark to be back by August the 12th. Now, this just came out of the pipeline of the Indiana Fever front office. Let's pull it up right now.
The whole basketball community is holding its breath as the Golden Goose returns. Caitlin Clark's injury status was changed to a game-time decision following weeks of radio silence and unending rumors, shocking everyone in the WNBA community. Finally putting on her sneakers once more is the Indiana Fever's franchise player, the league's undeniable ratings magnet, and the most significant player in women's basketball.
Caitlin effing Clark is a game-time decision. She is a game-time decision. She is, as far as I'm aware, someone said she's listed as questionable on the app. Someone said on the app she's listed as questionable. But she is a game-time decision, apparently. Look, if we're going to be honest, no, she's a game.
It's more than just a player recovering from an injury when Clark on the court again. It is the resuscitation of the league as a whole. Without their golden ticket, the WNBA has been hobbling along while seeing its audience numbers plummet like a meteorite. However, the cavalry is approaching, and everyone in this league is aware that their earnings are contingent on what occurs next.
Caitlin Clark may be back, and that will leave a run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games left to get ready for the playoff run. Right now, you're looking at the Atlanta Dream, or you're looking at the Phoenix Mercury, which should be very interesting considering all the plots around.
This is the harsh truth that everyone knows exists, but no one wants to acknowledge. A startling 1.81 million people watched the Indiana Fever games on average before Clark suffered the groin injury on July 15th. Those figures fell to 847,000 viewers the instant she was removed from the schedule. That 53% decline struck the league like a freight train, bearing only sobering reminders of reality.
Argue this intelligently. No one person means as much to their league, whatever league it is, as Caitlin Clark means to the WNBA. And no person has done more for their league than what Caitlin Clark has done for the WNBA. Patrick Mahomes does not mean that much to the NFL. Steph Curry does not mean that much to the NBA. LeBron James does not mean that much to the NBA. She is a monster. When we look back on this, Caitlin Clark will be for the WNBA what Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were.
However, things worsen. During Clark's absence, national WNBA attendance fell by 55% for all games.
Give that some time to sink in.
The inability of one player to play caused more than half of the league's broadcast viewership to vanish. It goes beyond star power. Any business boss would be sweating profusely at that level of economic dependence.
You can't tell me that the Caitlin Clark effect isn't real. You knew when news broke yesterday that Caitlin Clark was going to be out for a few weeks, that ticket prices were going to go down, but I never expected them to go down 71% for the rivalry game. I can't help but laugh because the first thing that I thought of when I saw this was a quote that we got last year from Angel Reese when she was talking about how people don't just watch the WNBA for Caitlin, they watch it because of her as well. Hate to say it, those numbers don't lie. They're watching because of Caitlin.
The same heartbreaking tale was told by the ticket market. When Clark was playing for the Fever, average ticket prices of $137 abruptly dropped to $80 bargain seller pricing. Tickets, which had previously sold for $86 to an embarrassing $25, fell to $25 when the Chicago Sky played Indiana without both Clark and Angel Reese. Prices dropped from $210 to $95 for even premium games, with the lowest seats going from $86 to $25. When Clark was unable to suit up, teams that had rescheduled games to bigger locations in anticipation of her playing were left in the dark. The Washington Mystics moved their game to Baltimore especially to satisfy Clark's fan base, but after she was disqualified, ticket prices plummeted from $41 to $14.
Fever Sky tickets dropped 71% on TickPick after Caitlin Clark injury. The get-in price for the Chicago Sky versus Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever game was $86. After Caitlin Clark's injury announcement is now down to $25. And you Angel Reese fangirls will still believe and think that Angel Reese is the reason why people are watching the W.
Following Caitlin Clark's injury, Fever Sky tickets on TickPick have dropped by 71%. Following Caitlin Clark's injury news, the get-in ticket for the Chicago Sky versus Caitlin Clark Indiana Fever game was $86. However, it has been dropped to $25. And all of you Angel Reese fans who continue to claim that she is the reason people watch the WN. According to sports economist Ryan Brewer, Clark might have a $1 billion economic impact this season. Furthermore, those aren't merely exaggerated figures meant to make news. That includes television, tourism, and merchandise transactions and all other aspects of being a phenomenon that goes beyond basketball in terms of culture. Her presence alone was worth almost $340 million to the Fever franchise, turning them from a mediocre team into the most valuable asset in the league. The repercussions are not limited to Indianapolis.
I think we're on the verge of seeing Caitlin Clark become bigger than the sport herself. WNBA viewing attendance is up over 200% since she joined the league. The Indiana Fever actually are outselling the Pacers, averaging over 17,000 attendance per game. That's crazy. $1 billion is the estimated increase in WNBA valuation based on Caitlin Clark alone. $1 billion. Now, this is up about 25% from the total economic value. Crazy to see these kind of numbers. I think we're on the verge of seeing something like MJ Tiger, where the average consumer goes to the TV because of something.
The average ticket price increases by 140% when Clark performs on the road, and the average resale price rises to $312. This season, all 10 of the top-selling WNBA games on StubHub featured the Fever. Fanatics saw a 500% rise in sales of all WNBA gear, while Dick's Sporting Goods reported a 233% increase in WNBA merchandise sales over the previous season. Clark is ranked 6th among basketball players, including NBA stars, and among the top 20 selling athletes in all sports. Her $76,535 WNBA salary is dwarfed by her purportedly $28 million Nike agreement over 8 years, underscoring the stark disparity between her worth to the league and her pay.
Caitlin Clark's agent, Aaron Kane, said Caitlin will never be paid what she's worth by the WNBA because it is quite literally impossible for them to pay her what she's worth. An economist at Indiana University Columbus calculated that Caitlin Clark was responsible for $36 million in economic impact to the city of Indianapolis, and that she is responsible for 27% of the entire WNBA's economic activity for this past season, including attendance, merchandise sales, and television. One player in a big league responsible for 27% of the...
This is what adds even more drama to Clark's upcoming comeback. Since she went down, the Indiana Fever have been in full crisis mode. They were forced to sign 12-year veteran Odyssey Sims to a hardship contract when their backup point guards, Sydney Carlson and Ari McDonald, sustained season-ending injuries in their game against the Phoenix Mercury on August 7. With just 9 players available, the Fever maintained a decent 6-4 record over their last 10 games during Clark's absence, including a commanding 92-70 triumph over the Chicago Sky. With just 1 turnover and 26 points and 8 assists, Kelsey Mitchell excelled in her new position as point guard, opposed to Chicago. Aaliyah during a 4-game run sans Clark, Boston has been shooting 78% from the field and recording impressive video game figures. However, everyone in the company is aware of this painful reality. This time is borrowed. For extended periods, the Fever can endure without Clark, but they cannot flourish. They are unable to compete for a title. They are unable to maintain the enormous ticket sales and broadcast audiences that have made them vital rather than irrelevant. Even Sophie Cunningham acknowledged that they appear to be a different team with and without Clark.
Now, if you're wondering about Odyssey, she is a guard, 5'8". She's a veteran, 33 years old. This is interesting. She's been an all-star. She's also was 2019 All WNBA. 2014 All Rookie Team. She's had some good seasons, and no, she doesn't have a great history with the three-point shot. But if Caitlin Clark is coming back...
Clark recently discussed the psychological effects of bearing a whole league on her shoulders on Suburbs podcast. She acknowledged that she feels a sense of obligation to perform live and that her absence significantly reduces audience size and ticket sales. Basketball performance is no longer the only factor that puts pressure on players. It's about realizing that her health affects hundreds of jobs, millions of dollars in income, and the future of women's professional basketball as a whole. The heartbreaking expectations Clark deals with on a daily basis are revealed in the text message her mother sent her during this most recent injury. "You've spent a lot of time everyone else. Now is the time for you to take care of yourself." This isn't how most injuries to athletes heal. A celebrity is learning how to strike a balance between her own well-being and her financial obligations to the entire ecology that surrounds her. Returning to professional basketball without the benefit of training camp preparation was a special difficulty, as Clark explained. "It's not as though I need to prepare for my first game again through a training camp. You feel as though you've been thrown into game 30. Go attempt to play well, for example." She is coping with the intermittent nature of soft tissue injuries while being aware that each game missed results in significant financial losses for numerous organizations.
Being active and playing 4 games and then not, and not feeling the best, and then frustrated of how hard I worked in the off season, and then all I do is rehab and continue to do this process, and just trying to trust that the best I can. And obviously there's really frustrating days, and there's days where it's a little bit easier, and you're very, very motivated, and you're close to the finish line of getting back and being back, and then it's not like I have a training camp to build up to playing my first game again. It's no, you're tossed into game 30. Go try to play well. It's hard.
Anticipate complete chaos upon Clark's eventual return, which appears to be imminent. Her return game is probably going to be one of the most viewed WNBA regular season games ever. The game peaked at 2.8 million people on June 14th, the day she last returned from injury, and it became the third most watched WNBA game on ABC and ESPN history. Although Clark missed 19 of 32 games this season, WNBA viewership is already up 21% from the 2024 campaign. The league appears to have effectively broadened its audience outside Clark's fanbase, as evidenced by the astounding 37% increase in non-fever games. However, everyone is aware that the real pyrotechnics are about to start when she's in good health. Clark's return couldn't have come at a better time. AT 1814, the Fever are presently ranked 5th in the league, well in the running for the playoffs, but they must win every game to guarantee their place. They're gaining confidence after destroying Chicago without their star, demonstrating that they can perform well under trying conditions.
Now, Caitlin Clark just helped deliver a major statement win. On Saturday, June 14, Caitlin Clark returned to the court for the Indiana Fever after missing 5 games due to a quad injury. The Indiana Fever handed the New York Liberty their first loss of the season, and Caitlin Clark was at the center of it. She made a return with force, leading the charge on both ends of the floor, and she came back in dominant fashion, putting up 32 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds. Just shy of a 30-point triple-double in a 102-88 win over the New York Liberty. Now, even NBA's own LeBron James took notice, posting the CC effect.
The ramifications of Clark's comeback for business are enormous. When Clark was healthy, ESPN networks, which had actually seen a tiny decline in WNBA viewership prior to her return last season, saw enormous increases. When she plays, 1.3 million people watch games on all ESPN platforms, a 7% increase from the impressive baseline stats. ESPN study. Vice President Flora Kelly emphasized the league's overall expansion while acknowledging Clark's significance. "We believe Caitlin Clark is amazing and a generational talent, and we like her, but I feel like everyone is losing out on the growth that's taking place outside of those Fever games." Nevertheless, 21 out of 24 Clark was featured on WNBA broadcasts that attracted at least 1 million people over the previous season. The timing is ideal for the WNBA's new $2.2 billion broadcast rights agreement, which will be split between ESPN and NBC Sports in 2026. With Clark as the mainstay of that investment, both networks are placing significant bets on the league's ongoing expansion. Clark's ability to draw has already caused teams all over the league to modify their tactics. To meet growing demand, the Dream, Sun, Wings, Vegas Aces, Washington Mystics, and Chicago Sky have all rescheduled their home games against Indiana to bigger stadiums. The Fever's preseason exhibition in Iowa turned become the most costly ticket in Clark's career, with resale values exceeding $1,750.
Caitlin Clark continues to crush the viewership department. And bring in those big ratings. This is from ESPN PR. This past Sunday, ABC aired another of its most watched WNBA games ever with the Indiana Fever's win over the Dallas Wings. It averaged 2.1 million viewers and peaked at 2.5 million viewers. WNBA on ESPN is up 7% from last season, man. What? The numbers are crazy. The numbers are crazy. She's a draw.
Saying that she could possibly play tomorrow going up against Paige Beckers. Now, we know they have been having this crazy narrative about Paige and Caitlin. Paige being better. Everything will be put to bed tomorrow, I pray.
This is the reason why the Fever organization needs Clark back so badly. Although Aaliyah, Boston, and Clark were successive number 1 overall picks, their championship window is closer than most people think. Because of the WNBA's competitive balance and pay structure, long-term dominance is practically unattainable. Before other clubs catch up, the Fever must take advantage of Clark's rookie contract and the momentum she has generated. Stephanie White, the coach, is aware of the stakes. When it comes to playing teams that are capable of winning championships, there is very little room for error. During the offseason, the Fever moved quickly to surround Clark with seasoned talent like Sophie Cunningham, Natasha Howard, and Dana Bonner specifically, because they are aware that this window may not remain open indefinitely. Prior to the season, Clark herself set the bar. "I anticipate that we will attempt to win a championship." It wasn't just idle chatter. It was a declaration of intent from a person who is aware of her special place in the sports hierarchy. Clark's triple-double in the team's early season triumph against Chicago, 93-58, and their close games against the reigning champion New York Liberty demonstrated that the Fever belonged in championship talks.
2.1 million average viewers to watch the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark, take on the Dallas Wings. ABC airs another of its most watched WNBA games ever. WNBA games ever. Ever. Ever, ever, forever, ever, forever, ever. ABC's fourth most watched WNBA game ever. More than 120 regular season and postseason games. More than 120 regular season and postseason games. This is more than most WNBA finals games, including
She's not simply coming back to play hoops when Clark gets back. She is going back to a league where all of her rivals are aware that their significance, pay, and livelihoods depend on her success. Since they've come to terms with the disagreeable reality, other players are freaking out. The WNBA's expansion isn't a result of group achievement. With supporting characters, it's the Caitlin Clark show. The league has been working to create a sustainable product for decades. However, Clark's absence demonstrated that they had unintentionally built a house of cards. What will happen when she gets hurt again if her injury can ruin attendance and viewership on its own? When she retires, what will happen? These inquiries keep WNBA execs up at night, evening. The league is already experiencing injuries as a result of Clark's hectic schedule. Every player in the league will be watching her return to compete against elite teams on national television, hoping to see if she can regain her pre-injury level of performance. Her return serves as the first salvo in a psychological battle already underway for the survival of women's basketball.